All right. Well, we are live on Amazon, and D. Scott Smith here. I am just dispensing from that intro video. It just takes time away from the guests, and that's what we're here for. And we are privileged to have Fred Kienle. He's going to be joining us here talking about his new book and a follow-up to his second book. I've got the Shure microphone hooked up to my cloud lifter going into the Focusrite box, which brings me directly to you here on Amazon. But with that, let's bring Fred in, and there we are. Hey, Fred, Scott. Welcome. I am glad to have you. If I can stop bouncing you around here for a moment. Where are you? Well, hey, thank you for joining us. We have got your book, and I'll just throw this picture up here again real quick so people can see Leadership with an Attitude. It is busting the myths surrounding leadership. And this is a follow-up to your book, Health with an Attitude.
Yes, it is.
But with that, let's have you go ahead and give an introduction, who you are, where you are, and then we'll get into the book.
Okay, well, great. Well, for one, first of all, I want to thank you, Scott, for having me on your show. Yeah, I met you through Us Hedge and his show and everything like that. Yeah, just a pleasure to be here, and I'm very honored and to share with everybody what I've done and what I've learned throughout. I'm 77 years old. I've written 3 books about attitude. One was Success with an Attitude, and Health with an Attitude. And this latest one, Leadership with an Attitude. Because my main mantra is, change your attitude, you can change your life. You change it for a negative attitude, it will definitely change your life. If you change it to a positive attitude, it will really change your attitude. You'll change your life for the good. And anyway, I was a musician for 25 years. I worked as a in construction. I was an electrician. I worked for Texas Instruments and Raytheon here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for 22 years. I became a Six Sigma expert, supervisor, records retention manager, and was able to do a lot of teaching and training. And my main interest is getting whatever it is you do, whether it's safety, whether it's personal, whether it's relationships, finances, health, everything revolves to me around attitude. Tom Ziegler, Zig Ziglar's son, gave me a handle. I hope I'm living up to it, but he dubbed me the attitude guru. And I'm trying my darndest to really live up to being a guru about attitude, something that people can learn from. And from my example, pick it up and go forward with a good attitude. It's so important. Attitude is, to me, a bunch. So
and he wrote the forward for this recent book.
Yeah. In fact, he wrote the forward to my first book, Success with an Attitude. He was such a gracious guy. I just love him. I love the whole Ziegler family, and I was lucky enough to meet Zig the last couple of years of his life. And he'd been a mentor of mine way before I met him, for years and years before that. So, and I was lucky enough in this book, Leadership, to have Ken Blanchard even do an endorsement for me. And he's another one of my mentors.
So Ken Blanchard, I should have thrown his book in there. I did throw one of Zig's. I didn't want to load up the carousel with a bunch because Zig has so many books out.
Oh, and they're great. And Tom, too. Tom's written, he's coming into his own. Tom is such a gracious, wonderful, giving person. He's not like his dad. He's carrying his own legacy into the future. And he's becoming a Tom Ziegler now into the future to motivate and, do what Zig did to his generation. He's doing to this generation.
Yeah. A lot of those principles from Zig Ziglar we use every day. I think the people that are successful in business are applying those every day.
Yeah, they all come from, way back. Dale Carnegie, all of these guys that from way back. You can name 100 of them, but they all revolve around that same thing. These sayings and these statements that are not only entrepreneurial, but they're success oriented, even if you're just job orientated. And that's what this book, Leadership with an Attitude, is all about. It's about the common guy that goes to work every day and doesn't feel like he's valuable, he or she. I talk about you can be a janitor and be a very valuable cog in the wheel for the corporation you're working for. It's not the position you're in. It's not where you are in the ladder. It's who you are and how you represent yourself. You become a value. You can be the best janitor in a corporation. You can be the best landscaper. You can be the best clerk. You can be the best secretary. You can be the best anybody all the way up through to the CEO. It's a matter of, are you becoming a leader? Are you the best you are in that field? And be an example to the others to say, well, yeah, I was an electrician for years and years and years. And I wanted to be a good electrician. And because of that, a lot of people say, well, I like the way you do that. And they would emulate what I did. And I emulated what other people would do. And thusly becoming a leader in that field. It's as simple as that. Everybody is valuable.
That's perfect. Let's throw this up here so people can see right here on Amazon. You can click on the book. We've got it. So everyone that's listening, the book is in the carousel. It'll take you right here, Leadership with an Attitude. And just hit add to cart. And if you want, you can do a little click on the inside and you can take a look at the book. And I want to talk about the cover too, because I think this is just fabulous cover. People can scroll through, see a little bit, look at the table of contents. We'll go through some of the chapters and just give people a little sneak, just a sneak of what they're going to find when they get into the book. Tell us about that cover.
I was looking. I said, "What is it that?" If you look behind me, there's a picture of a ship in the middle. I love tall sailing ships, and I've got plates that we bought throughout the years, and they're all surrounding that picture, and they're all about ships. In fact, over this shoulder here is a picture of the USS Enterprise. I love ships. I love whatever the ship is because tall sailing ships are always moving forward. And they were a powerful, to me, they are a source of power and forwardship and leadership, captainships. And it took teamwork of that entire ship to get it going where it needed to go. And I thought, what a powerful statement to put a tall sailing ship up there and have it called Leadership with an Attitude. And that to me was just the powerful, strong statement about leadership.
Yeah. I'm going to turn my camera around and up. So,
okay. Oh yeah. I love it. Love it. Love it. That's fantastic. That's super. That's fantastic. Yeah. And I saw your guitars hanging on the wall too. I got mine over there. I got my piano over here. Oh, wrong direction. I'm going to do right over there. I do a lot of keyboard stuff, and also have like I said, a Starcaster. It's a model that Fender only made for about 4 years. So I was lucky enough in 1976 I bought that. So anyway, like I said, I played music for 25 years and I loved it. You're muted. Scott, you're muted.
There we go. I love the music. I love music. I love that you have your keyboard and everything handy there.
Yeah,
those ships that I have drawn, that was a hand drawn when my dad was in the Army in the early 60s over in Germany. The people that he stayed with, actually, the man was an artist, and he drew that. That was above my dad's desk, and so of course it's above my desk.
That's a great legacy right there.
Yeah. So I love the whole Leadership with an Attitude, and it is busting the myths surrounding leadership. And as you said, you can be the best wherever you are, whether you're at the, in the org chart, if all of the boxes point up to you, that's one type of leadership. But really, you're not saying that's not what defines the leader.
Correct. That's not it. Because you can be, everybody, you have to have a leader in a family. Somebody has to be the leader. Somebody has to take charge. Somebody has to be responsible. And so it's not a matter of whether you're in a corporate or environment, or you're in a home environment, or you're wherever you are, you're a leader. You can be a leader, should be a leader. Like I say, the busting the myth about leadership is that you don't have to be the boss or a CEO to be a leader. I've met so many secretaries, male and female. They're there. They answer the phone daily after that. I don't do no. I just answer the phone. You are the first voice that represents the company that somebody's calling. If you're going to do business with somebody and you say, oh, okay, I looked this up, I'm going to go meet with the president or the CEO, and you drive up into their parking lot and there's trash all over, the yard's not mowed. You walk in and the first person you meet is over there behind the desk going, can I help you?
Right.
You're probably not going to do business with them. That person is important. The person mowing the yard out there is important. The person that paints the building, keeps the floors clean. I played in a lot of clubs when I was playing music. You know what the most important thing, mostly for women, was? How clean is the bathroom? They would not go to a club based on that. And it's
yeah, you've met my daughter.
You've met my wife. So it's like, it's so important. People don't realize how valuable their position is in the structure of a company all the way up. It's important. And they don't realize that. I know it doesn't work out too well now, but in the book, I talk about a pocket watch. And if you open up the back of any nice pocket watch, you see all the gears and all the wheels with all the cogs and people. I'm just a little cog in the wheel, of this corporation. But I tell you, break one of those little cogs off. And the watch will work just fine until it gets around to that one cog and then stops. You are important. And that's what I try to get across to everybody. You're important. You're valuable. Realize your worth and how valuable you are, and your attitude starts going up. And pretty soon you start doing a better job. The culture of the company changes. And that's what I'm trying to impress on a lot of the companies, corporations, and cities. Look, every corporation has these naysayers in there. Oh, I don't do nothing much. And if you could just bring a portion or a percentage of those people up and realize that, you know what, I am worth something. I'm okay. What I do adds value to the company, and they are proud of what they do.
There's a Walter Bond. He's a motivational speaker, former NBA player, and he talks about the eyeball test. He goes, it has to pass the eyeball test, and that so here comes Fred. He's got a nice shirt on, tie, right? Step up the game, right? And so, as you say, if the facility, if walking up to it doesn't mean muster. In fact, Walt Disney, he was fanatical about keeping Disneyland, the park, clean. Because he said, if this isn't taken care of, how are people going to know that these rides are taken care of? That they can't see, the part they can't see.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's so true. It's the impression that people get, and I like, I've heard the statement before, and you have too. Is that you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And it's just, thanks, Christine, appreciate it. Aging enthusiast. What do you mean aging? I'm 77.
That is the title she has taken on, is aging enthusiast.
No, you can't be. You look 29. Mark Victor Hansen, he was part of the partnership that wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. I love what he always says. He says, I'm going to live to 125 with an option to renew. And that's the attitude you got to have.
That is the right attitude. And that's what you're talking about. It all begins with attitude and believing your worth and that you have a role. So whether you're the CEO or you're the janitor, you're an administrative assistant, you're a project manager, it doesn't matter. You have your role. You do what you do so that other people can do what they do.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I love, there's an opening story too that you have in the book about a taxi driver.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah. That was phenomenal. It's been out in several places, but it's all of a sudden, and he went on a saying and a remark that he heard from Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer, and it was about don't just be a chicken down here, be an eagle. Don't be down here. Be better than the competition. And he kind of took that to heart. And I love what he did is he didn't do a whole lot. And I got my own personal story that I'll tell you in a minute. But all he did was he he dressed up a little. I don't mean you got to go out and buy a suit and tie and coat and all that kind of stuff, but I mean just kind of look. He's got a nice pressed shirt, but he put a tie on. Taxi cab drivers, you see them. Remember Taxi on the TV show?
Oh yeah.
Okay, the whole cap down.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
well he put a tie on everything, and when he'd meet somebody, he'd come out and he'd hand him his business card, and while he was putting their luggage in the trunk, he'd say, "Why don't you read my mission statement?" And it says, "I plan to get you to your destination the quickest, fastest, easiest way in the best comfort I can get you there." And that was his mission statement. And so when they get in the car, he'd say in the back, and he'd say there's a newspaper, the current newspaper, there's some magazines there. Oh, and if you want, there's in that thermos, there's some coffee. If you want some black coffee or something, there's some Cokes and a little, some sodas down there if you want that. And there's a map so I can see where your destination is and see where I'm taking you. And you know what? On the other side of that mission statement on his card was his phone number, his cell number. Guess who kept getting repeat calls and repeat calls and repeat calls? That's being the best. I mean, you talk about being the best taxi cab driver in the world, right? Yeah. I had some back trouble when I was working at TI, and really it was for about 2 years. It was really bad, and we wore these uniforms that's Levi shirts, dungaree and denim shirts and pants and everything. And I was the supervisor, but I'd be walking up and down the hallways, and I'm going on, my back's hurting. And these customers would go, "Hey, come take a look at this. Get down under there and look at that. See what my problem is with this hookup's not right." All right. All I did was I went out and I bought me about 4 or 5 nice dress shirts, just simple, inexpensive dress shirts, and I started wearing those with my blue jean pants. Well, with the dress shirt, they started asking me a different way. They started asking me, said, "Could you get somebody to come look at this?" And I say, "Yeah, I can do it." And you know what? I changed my attitude about how am I going to approach these people, but it put me in a different position.
Yeah,
and it started motivating me to create a leadership attitude. And some of these other guys, they started dressing a little bit nicer. They didn't just wear the same uniform over and over and over again. They started making sure they were kind of ironed and pressed and stuff and looking nice. So my crew looked good. I really like being the supervisor of the group I had. In fact, we wrote up in the company paper several times. I said, "How do you do that? How do you get your crew to do what they're doing?" I said, "Well, I trust them."
Well, there's a big word right there that I think with COVID, when more people were working at home, and of course, a lot of that has changed, and that was a problem I think that the managers and supervisors had, was being able to trust their people when they couldn't keep their eyeballs on them.
Macromanagement, it was a tough one. And leadership, like you said, it's not a position or a title that you get. It's what you do with the position you're in, whatever job you are. That's what it's about, and that's why I wrote this book. I thought, golly, and like I said, I'd love to make the money, but I wish every company out there, every CEO, every decision maker out there would buy a ton of these books and hand them out to every one of their employees. There's always a percentage. I don't care what you do, you're going to have these guys. Yeah, that ain't going to work for me. But I guarantee you, it hit enough of their employees, it would change the culture of their company.
Right. Well, there it is, right there. Just it's in the carousel. People can click on it, add it to cart. Great gift. It's Father's Day. Maybe someone's Father's Day. You always have to ask, what can I buy my father that he wants, that he doesn't have, that I can afford?
That would work. Thanks, Scott. Yeah.
I love it.
You've been doing a lot yourself. I asked you when I first met you, how did you get the title of motivational listener? Because that struck a chord with me. I love that title.
Yeah. Yeah, it really goes back to what you talked about in the book here about discover yourself, who you are, and the value that you add. So back in 2011, I wrote a little blog post based on how people learn and retain information. And my goal coming into 2012, and I've never stopped, by the way, my goal was to remind people how remarkable they are. Because they said, you know, it would say, "Oh, Fred, you know a lot about leadership." Well, you weren't born 77 years ago, right? Knowing anything about leadership.
Hadn't a clue.
You had to learn. You know, you went to school, you studied. As a leader yourself, you made mistakes, trial and error.
Bunch.
You've read books like Bob Burg's, right? The 1 Minute Manager.
Yeah.
Of course, there was the counter book to that, the 59-second employee that someone came out with.
The 60-second guy, right?
Yeah. And so this information, when we're learning it, takes a lot of energy, but after a while, it becomes hardwired into our brain. It's very easy to recall. And what happens is, I said, if I were to say, and this is in the chapter in your book, it says, Fred, why is attitudes in the workplace so important? And you start telling me this, you just breathe the stuff out as if it was common knowledge, but it is not common. And it is extremely valuable. And that's why your book is so helpful to remind people that what they know is valuable, and it is not common knowledge.
It's not. It's really not. And it's a shame, because your attitude, it carries over. And I was using this earlier in another interview today. You know, the way you have the 5-6 balls, so the connect balls, and you let one go and it hits that one, and they go back and forth. Well, if you're this ball out here, your attitude is so important. If it's positive, that's great. If it's negative, that's not. Because whatever you do, when you let that loose, with the people you're around, it hits that one, and you never know where that attitude's going to go, who you're going to affect. It's like a pebble in the pond and the ripples that go out. You never know who they're going to touch. And I guarantee you, and I've met so many toxic people in the workplace sometimes. They're just hard to be around. I don't care what you do. They're tough. And they can go in every now and then, and you just be around them for a little. You think, oh my! And then you can watch the people around them. And you know, luckily, I have a great attitude, but I have my moments. I can be in a mad mood. You know, something happened. I can walk through the house, and this is how important it is, because if you pay attention to your pets, if I'm in a bad mood and I'm going through the house and I have this negativity aura around me, I can walk through. Even the dogs, they get away from me.
Yes.
And it's the same with people. You want to drive people away, have a negative attitude. If you want to bring them towards you, you go in there and say, "Hey, dogs, you want a treat?" Boy, they're right there. Hey, people, come on in. Let's have a good talk. Let's have a good time. If you have a problem, let's share it. Let's see what the solutions are. If you made a mistake, let's get over it and go forward and fix. Let you learn from your mistake. Let's move forward. That's leadership. Making leaders out of other people.
What about ownership of mistakes when I make a mistake?
You know, I had a guy at TI, and he just took over from the supervisor we had, he was a good supervisor we had. And he came in, and we had a big meeting and everything like this. He was a nice enough guy, but he made a huge blunder in a meeting. We had all of us gathered around. There's about 8, 9 people, other supervisors and directors in there. And he came in, and he started cussing and yelling. And we walked out of there. Oh, this guy's not going to make it. About an hour later, he called everybody back into the room. And he said, "Man, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I came in with this big attitude. I'm going to make this huge change. And all I did was make an idiot out of myself. I'm so sorry for cussing in front of you guys and acting like a fool." That moment on, he became a leader in my eyes.
Yeah.
And there he was. And he was a leader. He was a good leader, because he admitted he had really messed up. And he went forward with it. And it was, made a difference in my life. And I looked at that and I learned from it. I thought, that made a difference in me, because this guy stepped forward and said, I really messed up.
Yeah. And I want to talk a little bit about one of the chapters in your book that says, what if I don't want to be a leader? Because you said it's not position, it's attitude. And what if I don't want to be a leader? Charles Barkley was famous for saying he wasn't a role model, but clearly,
he was.
people looked to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a touchy subject because I met so many people that, especially being a mechanic and being an electrician and stuff. So some of the guys, they didn't want to be a boss. They didn't even want to be a supervisor. They just wanted to be a good electrician, come to work, do the trade that they knew what they were doing. They were happy. They were comfortable. They wanted to be an electrician. They wanted to be a plumber. They wanted to be a painter. They wanted to be a janitor. And leadership sometimes with the whole, no, you got to grow. You got to take these. You got to move up the ladder. You got to go up. And the trouble was, I saw too many people that were advancing to a position that was beyond their capabilities. They were unhappy. They were not good leaders. They were micromanaged. They were scared to death. Mm. So what if you don't want to be a boss? Just be the best whoever you are, and it will be recognized, whether you believe it or not. It will be recognized. And sometimes it involves raises, better bonuses, positions, just the freedom of being the best of who you are is uncanny. It's unbelievable. So that you don't have to be, if you don't want to be a boss, you don't have to be. Just be the best you are, the best you that you can be.
Yeah. And that attitude, it does make a difference. And even if you, as you said, if you were feeling a little grumpy, but you're going to have to go in there and present, whether you're the leader or the not, you're going to have to present to a group of people. I think there are things that we can do to change our attitude.
Certainly. An attitude, a lot of people say, well, what if you don't have a good attitude? I say, well, it's not something you have. It's just automatic sometimes, because a lot of times I can wake up in the morning and I have some issues and stuff at 77. This hurts and that, I don't feel good or whatever. And you're not in a good mood. You're sleepy, you're tired, you had a headache. I don't know. You're not feeling right. But the point is this: you have a whole day in front of you that you have to go out and do things. From that moment on in the morning, you have to start telling yourself, you know what? I don't feel good right now, but I'm going to feel better in a little bit. I'm going to feel better. I'm going to get better. I'm going to, have a cup of coffee and things. I'm going to walk around a little bit and kind of move and whatever, but it's going to be a good day. I'm going to do good things. You have to say these things out loud, because the input goes in here. You have to make yourself create some happiness in you. Laughter is the best medicine. Yeah. And if you have a negative attitude, it's the reverse of that. It shuts down your melatonin, your serotonin, all of these chemicals in your body. When you're laughing and you're in a good mood, they start flowing freely through your body. Sure. Your pituitary gland, your thyroid, they all start creating these things that lift you up. And when you're in a good attitude, your capacity to think straight, be more creative, come up with better solutions becomes easier and easier. So you have to almost talk yourself into having a good attitude and feeling better about yourself. Sometimes, I know the boss doesn't think I'm that great, but I'm the best electrician he's got. I'm the best at what I do. And then pretty soon when you start telling yourself, you start to do something somewhere, you look at it and say, nah, that's not quite right. I think I need to fix that. I need to straighten up my desk. I'm the secretary. I greet people that comes in. I need to look good. I need to sit up straight. I need to, whatever. All of a sudden, when you start telling yourself how good you are and that you're valuable, you start becoming valuable to yourself. Yeah. So you have to create that attitude sometime. It's not just, I'm just going to sit here and wait till it comes. You have to almost create it.
I'm going to remind people we are speaking with the Attitude Guru in his new book, Leadership with an Attitude, Debunking the Myth Surrounding around leadership. And leadership is not a position, and it starts with attitude. And we're talking about changing your attitude. So, it's just part of this was a lot of companies now will say, we'll hire for attitude because we can train the skill, but you can't change the attitude, maybe. But it sounds like that may not be true, that you can change that attitude.
Yeah, you can, because I was part of doing that, because a lot of the people, they'd always ask me, how come you're always in such a good mood? How come you do this all the time? I'd like to be more, I wish I had an attitude like that. And I just tell them, well, just put it in your mind that you're going to do better. You're going to act better. And, you're not going to let, I don't care what corporation you're in. They always have somebody in there that's not a good leader, or a pain in the neck, a micromanager, or whatever. You're going to hear complaints and stuff like that. So don't let those things bother you. Learn how you can create in yourself, how you're going to live with that, how you're going to get around that, how you're going to circumvent that. Don't let it eat you up. I was, especially in my health with an attitude seminars, I love doing this at a lot of the assisted living homes with a lot of these treasured seniors, like I said. And I tell them, I said, have you ever walked up to somebody and say, and ask them, hey, how you feeling? And wish you'd never asked.
Because they'll let you know.
Load on you. And you got to learn to live with that. You got to learn to, I can tell that. I can try to share, bring them up a little bit. That doesn't work. Get away from the toxicity. And, and it's listening to a bad boss or listening to them moan and groan or whatever like that. I tell these workers, I said, don't worry about that. That's who they are. Mm-hmm. You're either going to work or you got a choice. And I tell them there, if you don't like where you work, you better start looking for another place to work. If you can't handle it, start looking for while you have a job, go somewhere else where you are happy. But if you can't, or you want to stay here, learn how to circumvent that and live with it and make it work for you and not let that eat you and bring you down, bring yourself up. And you'll become a leader in your field.
I love it. I worked with a coach one time, and he said, Scott, if you go to lunch with somebody and you come back and you're all charged up and excited and looking forward to the rest of the day, he said, next time, buy that person lunch.
Exactly.
Because if you come back and you're all down and depressed and grumbling and all that stuff, he says, never go to lunch with that person ever again.
And don't even let him buy you lunch.
Don't. Just don't.
Stay away from him. Stay away.
Yeah. So you got to stay away from that negativity. When one of the things I was thinking about when you were talking about understanding your value and realizing that you're the best, you can be the best at what you do. Where's the line of arrogance or being a braggart? When do we cross that line?
Well, yeah, you can't just be a sloth. You can't just say, well, I'm the best and I'm just going to do what I do every day. No, you have to perform. And if you're not performing, any good leader will see that. And if they can't bring you up and out of that by teaching you to be better or giving you a chance or opportunity to be better, then you're in the next meeting session, your job is probably on the line. And that's what it should be. That's leadership. You can't drag these people along. What you have to do is motivate or inspire them to be who they are. So that part about becoming better, you can't just expect you to be better and be arrogant about it.
Yeah.
I told a lot of guys, I said, I looked up when I was writing this book, I said, okay, best janitor. How do you be the best janitor you can be? So I Googled how to be a great janitor. I thought, how to be a great janitor. A little sentence that long. Mm-hmm. Holy smokes. I got tons of information, all kinds of tips, how to do this, how to do that, the easiest way, all kinds of hacks on how it will make your day easier and better. How to clean a restroom, how to do hallways, oh my gosh. There was just enough information. I could write 20 books on that. So how to be a good clerk, how to be a good file clerk, how to do this, how to do that. You can Google any of that stuff. And then it's up to you to become better at what it is. Be the best what you are.
Yeah.
In electrical trade, bending pipe is an art. All the conduit you got to bend, and especially in industrial. But you've seen these places. You go to like some of these big stoves, and you see these conduits going up the wall. They go up, and they're all together, and they all turn these corners.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
like soldiers marching.
It's magic.
Yeah.
It's an art to do it. It's a mathematical system, and I love. And I always love to try to do that. And I always watch these other guys when I was an apprentice. I'd say, "What? How do you do that?" And they'd show me these little tricks and everything. That's becoming the best that you can be. Be a leader in it. And then people, when I would do that, say, "Wow, that looks good. How'd you do that?" And I'd show them that, and they watch you. And so in doing that, they try to emulate and follow examples, whether they know it or not. They say, "I like the way he did that. I'm going to do that."
Well, there is two distinct levels of competent execution, and that is the technician, the
Right.
person who gets it done, and then there's a level of elegance. And when you follow those conduit lines, and they all bend and they make the right, and it just looks beautiful, right? I mean,
To me, it does. Yeah.
that's a bit of elegance, and I think we can do that in every job, and that's what you're proposing here, is that whatever job it is that you have, if you're the best at it, then it's a very elegant execution.
And people notice it. Your
Hmm.
peers around you notice it. Even the people walking by that they're not even in your field, engineers and stuff like that, walk by and they go, wow.
Hmm.
These
Yeah.
people that a lot of the places I did a semiconductor business that I worked at Tian and stuff. A lot of people did some assembly line stuff. Okay. And they sit there day after day. That's all they do. And no, if you don't do that right,
Hmm.
this mouse that I have right here won't work right.
Right.
That microphone won't work right.
Hmm.
This stuff here that you got, it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
So it takes everybody in every position
Yeah.
to know how valuable they are. And if they get that, if they would just get that and understand that their value adds to that corporation and makes that corporation successful, and the more successful the corporation is, it's a self-fulfilling value and goal that they should seek.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that, because we all have a role. It's all different, but we do need each other. We need to value each other. We need to understand the value that we bring in,
Exactly.
and as we start to come to the downhill, we start looking toward the end of this time. Fred, it's always just fun to hang out with you.
You're a delight. You're so gentle. You're so easygoing. I'm hypertensive, and you're so calm and easygoing, and you talk real soft. I can't sit still.
Well, that's good. That's good. The last chapters in your book, I will just say there's a lot of power in those chapters. The power of being grateful, the power of your perspective, and the power of prayer in your job. And so, as I said, there's a lot of power there. And gratitude. I know that right now, one of the things popular is gratitude journals, and just taking the time to think, what are the good things in my life, and to dwell on those. And I think that really goes hand in hand with what you're talking about in attitude.
Exactly, it does. And the more grateful you are, the more you feel that your life has value, and that you are blessed by having the things you have, and being able to do the things you do. So it's your attitude. Like I said earlier, I don't care if it's whether it's financial. I don't care if it's personal. I don't care if it's health, safety, leadership, success, entrepreneurship, just being the best janitor, being the best CEO.
Mm-hmm.
If your attitude's not right, you're not making the right decisions. You're making more mistakes than you normally would. And then you end up trying to catch up instead of being ahead of the game and thinking clearly. I've made so many mistakes. Oh my gosh, this is like, I look back and said, I use a phrase called "I quicken," and it just stands for if I knew what I knew now. That's what the letters stand for. I quicken, and it's like if I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have done a lot of the stupid things I've done. And yet I've learned and grown from them. Like you said, people are afraid to make mistakes. Fear is a huge killer. And because of that, fear inhibits you having a good attitude sometimes. So you got to get over that fear and know that we're all human. We're going to make mistakes. And if you're around some good leaders, they will help you get through that mistake. They will help you learn from that mistake and let you grow in that mistake and learn and be better the next time. So that you'll make a new mistake and instead of the old one. So that's life. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I think maybe we could take a look for a moment at what limits us when we care what other people think.
Well, yeah. I do care what other people think. I do care deeply what other people. I want people always to like me. I want people to think I'm funny. I want people to think I do good things. I want people to think, wow, I like
Well, what
that.
about if you make a mistake?
But
What do you
that's what
what
I'm
do
going to
you
get to. It's like if
Okay,
I
I'm
do
going to
make a
let you
mistake,
keep going.
I make a mistake. I want to be upfront about it. I've learned by telling a lie doesn't work.
Mhm.
Telling a lie doesn't work. Try to covering up a mistake doesn't work. It comes out sooner or later. I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. So please be you. Be honest. If you lose your integrity, it's darn hard to get back.
Yeah.
If you lose your trust, if somebody loses their trust in you, it's darn hard to get back. Don't make the mistake. Be upfront, be honest, make a mistake and own up to it. You were talking about ownership earlier, Scott. That's ownership. And if you can own that, you'll have a better life. You'll think clear. Your conscience will be clearer. And so you're going to make mistakes. I don't care what you do. I don't care where you are, you're going to make a mistake. I've still got probably a whole slew of them in front of me that I don't even know I'm going to make, But you got to get through it, and you got to understand that, okay, learn from it, grow from it. Move forward, always moving forward.
And I don't think that I've ever seen employees, or, if you will, the followers of a leader, feel bad that a leader owned up to a mistake. Said, I thought this was the right thing to do. I realized it was not me. I haven't see people say, well, I'm leaving the company now.
Yeah.
Because that person made a mistake. Now, if they try to go on as if it didn't happen, they try to ignore it, sweep it under the carpet, whatever you want to do, whatever way you want to say they ignored it. Then I see people walking out the door saying,
exactly,
this person, they're not going to own up to it.
Yeah, I don't want to work for them.
Yeah.
And that's where leadership falls down, and they're so afraid to express that they did make a mistake, that they're going to make more mistakes. And not only that, it's going to affect their attitude. And like I said, when their attitude is down and bad, the dog will even move away from him. They won't be around. And it's the same way with the employees. They don't feel comfortable around that person. And when you don't feel comfortable around that leader or that person, it's really hard to perform to a better standard.
Sure.
When you're this person, oh gosh, it is tough. So
I think many of us that have been in the workplace have been there. We can compare. We know those bosses that they were great. You would move heaven and earth.
Yes, you would.
And the other ones that you wouldn't lift a finger.
That's right. And you bring out a good point, because in today's workplace, a lot of the younger folks coming out of college, they go in and work with a big, they're all excited, and they run into this situation. They don't know what to do. They really, it's not something that you gets taught. I don't care what level of education you've had. It's something you have to understand, and that's an inward thing about your value and your attitude. And if you value yourself and you know your worth, not arrogantly like we talked before, but if you know what you really do and you're trying to do your best, then those type of people won't affect you as much and won't change your attitude to a negative side. You'll be able to withhold that and maintain and either live into that job until that leader gets fired and moves away, or you say, I can't handle this anymore, and I'm going to look for a better place.
Sure.
And then start looking for a better place.
Yeah.
So when they understand their worth and the value they bring, then their attitude will help them through that whole issue. And that's why I think come back down, change your attitude, you change your life.
Yeah. And perspective. Let's talk about perspective.
Yeah.
Because there's more power there.
Yeah. A lot of times you can perceive something. And here's another thing too. You come in and all of a sudden the boss is all raging and he's mad or whatever. or you're the boss and you're all mad and everything. And these, oh, wow. People need to understand that that person is also a human being.
Mm.
What is going on in that leader's mind? What happened? Did somebody die in his family?
Mm.
Did it? You know what? I was going to a Six Sigma expose out of town. I think we were up in Phoenix, I think, and my wife called me and said our dog was really sick. And I love it. I was a big Doberman. I loved this dog.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of staying an extra day and going through the fun stuff, I left and I flew home early. And several of the people I was with, they sent me cards. I was not in a good mood. What happens in people's life can affect their daily activities.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these leaders and stuff like that, they have lives that they're going through. And some of them are going through some bad relationships. They have health issues, whatever. And you got to start to understand who that person is. In my book, Success with an Attitude, the first one I wrote, I talk about know your boss. And people say, oh, you just want to be a bootlicker. I said, no. I said, know who your boss is. Walk into your boss's office, he's got pictures of dogs over here. So, oh, yeah, dog. What kind of dog? Understand who that person is. And you start understanding some of the issues that they might have. Did he get divorced that year? Did he have issues with their health? Sometimes that could affect their attitude, that affects the way they treat you. And it's not about leadership. It's about being a human being. And so you as a person, again, have to be that better person and start understanding, is this guy or gal having a problem?
Yeah. Can
I try to understand that and then empathize and sympathize with this person and understand why he's yelling at me? Not yelling at me, he's mad at the situation.
There's a great training video that Chick-fil-A created a number of years ago, and it's called Everybody Has a Story. And I encourage people, go out to YouTube, just put in Chick-fil-A and Everyone Has a Story, and they do a little video where a camera just kind of pans around everybody. It starts with the store manager, goes through the front counter, and then different guests that are there. And it says, so it shows the manager, and it's like his son just shipped out for Afghanistan. It says, here's a senior citizen lady sitting by herself at the table eating a sandwich, and it says her and her husband came every Wednesday, and this is the first Wednesday after he passed away, and she still comes. There's a father holding the hand of his little daughter, and it shows her and says her mother died in childbirth and her father still blames her, right? These are stories that you don't know, right?
And they will definitely.
How are they going to respond?
Right. They definitely infiltrate into your attitude. And sometimes you can't help it. And then when, like I said, when somebody makes a mistake, when I make a mistake, it changes my attitude. And you have to really start verbally trying to get yourself out of it, because I know that it's going to be, if I don't get out of that attitude, it's going to bring me down. I'm not going to make clear decisions. I'm not going to be able to help other people. And that's what I want to do. I want to help. I want everything I do, these seminars I do, and everything I do, I want to bring people's attitude up. The singing thing, concerts I do, I love watching these seniors and everything. It just brings joy to their lives. And I feel like $1 million when I do that. When I can touch somebody else and know that I made a difference in their day, I don't care if it's just for a minute or two, I feel rewarded.
Well, that's one thing, Fred, is that God made music like nothing else.
Yes.
If I tell you a joke and then later on today I tell you that same joke, you're like, Scott, come on, I've heard that story, right? I've heard that one. But we'll hear the same song 3 or 4 times in a day and still be singing along with it.
They will do. Yeah, you sing it along and it bring back memories. What happened that time, or good
absolutely.
Thoughts. Yeah. It's great.
So tell me about prayer in the workplace, because that's kind of a touchy subject for people.
I met a guy at one of the Ziegler devotions. It was a really nice guy. I talked about it. I said, what is one of your issues about, your religion and stuff, like being a Christian, being a believer? And he said, well, what I noticed was, he says, when I go to work, and it's a lot of the work environments have a lot of cubes, Herman Miller cubes all over the place.
That's right.
I've sat in many of them.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed was he was telling me, he says, hey, I go in, I'm a Christian, and I have to do this and that. And I'm talking around. I go over to this cube and I start talking to this one lady, and she said, well, I'm a believer and stuff like that. I said, oh, really? Well, I couldn't tell. I didn't know that, And then so so-and-so over here didn't know he was a Christian, didn't know this was a believer, whatever. What you need to do is let it out. Let people know what your belief is. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about what your beliefs are. If you're in a different religion, that's fine. What you believe in is important.
Mm-hmm.
But what you need to realize is everybody has a choice to express that I'm a Christian. And once I did that, once this guy showed me that, you take just like it says in the Bible, don't put the cover over the light. Take the cover off and let that light shine. And the people that agree with it or don't, they can come in and join in. So instead of the gossip around the water tower, the water cooler, it was more about, oh, wow, that's the sermon. Do you believe this or that? Or what about this verse? Or what about that? And I tell you what, it'll help change the environment of the workplace. And even the other religions, they come in and they start respecting that you do believe. And a lot of the other folks will say, well, okay, that's fine. I know that you have faith other than just the worldly things that are out here. So
right.
It's a culture changer. And those businesses that, say, take that cross down off your office there, or don't put this Muslim thing up here. Don't do this. No, that's what they believe in. Let them have that freedom. Let them let that light shine. So it's changing little bit by bit. So they're finding out that it's important to let them have that.
Right. Yeah. Let people express their beliefs, and the world is a better place.
Powerful tool. It's gotten me through a lot of messes. One Andrew Womack, he's a TV evangelist. He says, if nothing else, the best prayer you can holler is get down on your knees and say, "Help!" If nothing else, help. Yeah, and it will. It pays off.
There's your book right there, Leadership with an Attitude, busting the myth surrounding leadership. And this is, as you said, this is your third book.
Yes. I got two more in the mix. I hope to get out in the next couple of years. And one is called Faith with an Attitude, because I do a seminar called Faith with an Attitude. And it's all about Bible and verses and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun to do. I love doing that. And the other one is, due to everything that's going on nowadays and stuff, is America with an Attitude. And I think we have an attitude problem throughout the country.
Well, I look forward to those, because you have a lot to offer. I always like to inspire people. I tell people, I truly believe this is the greatest time ever to be alive, because if you want to publish, you have something to say, write a book, start a podcast, do a video cast, write a blog, share what you have to offer. And you're creating a legacy for your family, right? For your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Say, here's the book that great grandpa Fred wrote. Yeah. One of the books that he wrote. Exactly. And so I want to ask, how old were you when you published your first book?
Oh gosh, it was in 2004. It was 4, 5, 6, 2006, 7, 8. So I'm trying to get it right. I don't know. It was this.
I'm guess surprising you with a math problem.
10 years ago, about 10 years ago, I guess.
Yeah, so you're 67-ish in there, we'll just say mid 60s. So, if for those people that haven't yet reached their mid 60s and haven't published, look, the door is open.
You got it. You're right. Exactly. And I think you can help in that, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Right here on Amazon, it is an easy way to publish. I will tell people, go to kdp.amazon.com, set it up. They've got all the tools to download and format a book and publish it, and it's free. Yeah, it's free.
And you can even get free ISBN numbers. It's a marvelous way.
Absolutely. And in my in the carousel, I've got there's a book in there, Influence, Creation of Credibility. It's a short read, and it gives people the tools that they need to just go through and write a book in 12 weeks or less.
Yeah,
A
I saw
book
that.
course.
Put some more stuff out on LinkedIn. I'll share that with my contacts and stuff because it is
Absolutely.
easy.
Yeah.
People say,
Yeah.
"Well, I don't
Short
know about."
books.
It's the old school of like sending it in to just Simon and Schuster, and I got enough. I've sent in all kinds of stuff a long time ago, and I got so many rejections. You could almost paper a wall with it. So it's like that's not a fun way to do it. It's tough.
It is not.
And the old school is gone. And I had a
Yep.
lady help me with my first book, Success with an Attitude. But on Health with an Attitude, I published the Health with an Attitude paperback, and I published the ebook. I've done this one the same way. Go in and put the format, use KDP Create, and just transferred it over. And it's not that hard.
No, the computer does a lot of the work.
Yeah, if I'm 77 and I can do this technical stuff here,
I want to encourage people.
I encourage people to write a book.
The first book that I published was in 2018, and so that was just a few years ago, and so that would have put me at 56. And so that was all about business networking, motivational listener, and then I also did that as an audio book, and Relationships Grow Your Business, and that's a networking book. And again, these are short reads, and my idea was just get it out there, right?
I'm not writing a novel. I want people to learn from it and not get bored with it. I want people to pick up, like you said, it's a short read, easy read, make it simple, and get the facts out. And what you're doing there, your books there are great. And like, in 12 weeks, gee whiz, that's a great. There's a lot of people out there helping people to write a book. Michelle Prince is one out there that's on LinkedIn a lot. She's good at that too. Your book is simple to read, watch it, easy to.
And that's what we want, is to get the information out there quickly. The traditional method, find an agent, takes a year. Your agent finds a publisher, takes a year. They're going to take 2 or 3 years to get your book ready for them to publish. So you're 4 or 5 years into it. That information could be dated by then.
And sometimes they take away some of the meaning that your heart put into those words. And they change some of those words, and it doesn't resonate with what you wanted to tell somebody sometimes.
Well, Fred, as I said, it's just fabulous talking with you.
No, it's fabulous. I've been honored, man. It's a treat. It's a treat talking to you guys.
So, speaker, entertainer, author, how do people get a hold of you and hire you, book you to speak, get you to come and play music for them, tell jokes, whatever? How do people get a hold of you, Fred?
I love telling stories. I tell you what, I love telling them with an Irish accent because I'm 37% Scottish and Irish, so I'm a true leprechaun. I tell you that straight away now. But you can reach me. I do most everything on LinkedIn. That's my main source. Okay, so if you're on LinkedIn, if you're not and you're an entrepreneur and you do business, you should get on LinkedIn. Or you can reach me on my email address, which is FKIENLE@AOL.com. Just simply my first initial and my last name, AOL@AOL.com. Send me if you have a question, you want, if you need some encouragement or you just want a shoulder to cry on, send me an email. Touch base with me. I swear I'll talk to you. I promise you.
I love it. I love it. Well, Fred, thank you so much. Thank you for putting your heart into the book, for being the attitude guru, and sharing that with us today on Amazon Live. I'm going to send you into the green room, but stand by.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Hey, this has been a lot of fun. There is Fred's book. It's in the carousel, Leadership with an Attitude, Busting the Myths Surrounding Leadership, a follow-up to a couple of books he has with attitude. So with that, I'm just going to end this broadcast and say thank you for tuning in, and make sure you click on the book in the carousel, add to cart, buy copies for yourself, for your friends, for people that you know and love, like fathers who are coming up. With that, have a fabulous day. Cheers.